All right, y'all, welcome back to another Millennial in Debt video. We are still in my office / closet, but I want to tell y'all something. I am filming this video in the dead of summer. It is like 90 degrees and I have long sleeves on. I'm probably releasing this in the fall and all my windows are closed so I can get really good audio for y'all. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up just because I'm risking heat stroke for y'all. So let's get right into this video. This video is titled How to Become a Teacher. I am going into my 10th year of teaching this September 2019. A decade. I've been doing this for a decade. Lord Jesus, what's wrong with me? But I get a lot of questions about my teacher, all my teacher videos about how to become a teacher. I get a lot of DMs about it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just talk to you from a New York point of view because I am in New York, so I don't know all of the rules and regulations on teaching certifications and licensing and things like that. But it's all pretty much standard with probably a few deviations. And if you really do want to become a teacher, I suggest you look into the specifications for your state or for your county or city or whatever, right? So the first bit of advice that I'm going to give to you if you really want to become a teacher is to actually know that you want to do it. Now, if you haven't seen my video on the 10 things that you should know before you become a teacher, you want to click right here or right, I don't know, I'm mirrored when I film, so I don't know. It'll be up here, okay? So click that video and find out about the 10 things that I wish that anyone had told me before becoming an educator, just to make sure that this is the career path for you. Because once you are in it, you really need to be all the way in it, right, in order to do a really good job. So that is the first thing I want to tell you. Be sure that you actually want to become a teacher. The second thing I want to tell you when you want to become a teacher, you obviously need to go to school. Now, in New York, there are a couple of different programs and pathways, but all of the requirements are the same when you get to a certain point in your teaching career. You obviously need to have a bachelor's degree. If you're going through, I believe it's Teachers College or Teacher Leader, I will link it or like write the correct terminology I'm thinking about. But it's a program where you have a master's in pretty much, a bachelor's in pretty much anything. And you join this program and you go through 2 years of this program to get your master's degree. And during those 2 years, they put you in a school so you can actually teach and gain teaching experience. Now you have to get your master's degree in order to be a teacher in New York City after your 5th year. So they give you 5 years with your bachelor's degree in order to get your master's degree. When you have your bachelor's degree and you are teaching, you will have what they call an initial license. Your initial license, like it sounds, gives you the opportunity to work as a teacher initially until you get your master's degree and all the other requirements to get your professional certification. They no longer have a permanent license. That is for the teachers who are in like tier 1, tier 2. I'm not going into tiers. That's all about like retirement stuff. It's too much. But if you are a teacher for like a million years, then sorry. If you are a teacher for a very long time, it is very likely that you have a permanent license. When I first graduated from college, I did graduate with my master's degree, so I met that requirement. However, I did not have my professional license because I had to teach for X amount of years. I think it's 3. I had to teach for 3 years before I can apply for my professional certification. You do have to renew your licensing, so that's something you want to keep in mind, my people who are already teachers. If you do have an initial or professional, you do have to renew it. And a couple of other requirements are needed in order for you to renew it and keep your license active. That obviously involves active teaching. It involves your master's degree, as well as I believe it is now down to 125 hours of professional development over the course of 5 years. You want to keep all those agendas and handouts and things like that because these programs do count towards certain hours. If they are, it's summertime. If they have a specific title in front of them, then they will count towards your hours. If not, they don't, right? So besides your bachelor's degree, you're obviously going to need to get a master's degree within a 5-year time span. You can start teaching without your master's degree. It can be a little more difficult to find a job without your master's degree, especially if you have a bachelor's in anything. Like, for example, my bachelor's degree is in English literature. My master's degree is in adolescent education for grades 7 through 12, so I can only teach 7 through 12. I can get an extension if I want to teach grades 5 and 6, which I don't. But that is the requirement in New York City. Now, besides this, you are going to need to do what they call student teaching. Different states have different amount of hours, and because I became a teacher 10 years ago, there have been so many different things that have changed since I, became a teacher. When I became a teacher, I needed 400 hours of student teaching. I did that student teaching in the spring semester of my final master's year of my grad year, because I was in a program called LEAP. Was I in a LEAP program? STEP. I was in a program called STEP from the university that I graduated from, which is a Delphi University. This is not an advertisement for them, by the way. Hella expensive. But yes, I was in a STEP program, which got you your bachelor's and master's degree in 5 years. I did it in 4 because I'm that bitch. But yes, I got my bachelor's and master's degree in 4 years, and I was able to start teaching the summer right after I graduated. Now, once you get the STEP program, or once you're in these programs, you need to student teach. I student taught at my first school that I actually taught in, that I started my teaching career, so that was just lucky. But you have to teach, especially for high school, you have to teach like a middle school, which would count as 9th grade, and an upper level grade, so an 11th or 12th grade. I think 10th grade also counts. So you split that. You do 200 hours in, let's say, a 9th grade classroom, and you do 200 hours in a 10th, 11th, 12th grade classroom. Now, when you are student teaching, you obviously, and this makes you a good student teacher because I've had bad ones, you want to actually come up with your own lesson plans, your own PowerPoints, your own activity guides, and things like that, because you need to learn how to actually create unit plans and lessons and all these things that are going to be engaging and fun. You also need to learn how to manage students. Classroom management is a big thing that they teach in all these theory classes in college, and you will not learn classroom management until you walk into a classroom, okay? Because there are things that happened in classrooms that nobody could have taught me inside of a classroom. I had to experience it, right? Seeing someone get flung across a classroom while you're trying to teach about the Great Gatsby, they don't teach you about that. Okay, so student teaching really helps you to kind of understand what you're going to be like in front of the classroom, what kind of teacher you're going to be, how you interact with other people's children. So because it's a time, right? So student teaching is a requirement. Like I said, there are 400 hours. From what I've learned as of late, especially having student teachers come in and out of my classroom, there are 2 new additions that I didn't really need to do to become a teacher. In order to get your initial certification, you do have to pass standardized tests, teaching tests. I had to take the LAST and the ATSW, and I think like a content-specific test for English, or maybe ATSW was English one. I don't know. But I had to take 2 to 3 state tests in order to get my initial certification, and you do not get your licensing or certification until you pass those exams. I failed the first time. CST. Oh my God, it's all coming back to me, right? So I had to take the LAST, ATSW, and the CST, which is the content specialized test for whatever it is you're going to teach. So because I teach English, I took the CST in English to show that I know what I'm talking about in English, right? Now I heard there are 9 exams that you need to pass. I wish I was exaggerating. I heard it's 9 in order for New York certification. And you have to take a DASA classroom protocol thing. And that's pretty much to make sure that you know you're not supposed to be abusing children, and things you should and shouldn't say to children, and how to engage and interact with children in time of crisis, right? If they are going through depression or suicidal thoughts, or the parents are going through a divorce. So you have to sit through that class. I believe it's 6 hours in order to get your certification. So those things are all important. You also now have to do the EdTPA. I ain't gonna hold you up. I didn't have to do that, where you have to film yourself teaching a lesson or 2 lessons and send it into the state for them to kind of deem if you're a good teacher and give you your certification. It's hard, and it's really like stressful. And I've seen 2 student teachers that I've had do it, and they did it really well, and they got their certification on the first go because I'm a good mentor teacher. But yeah, so you do need to do your EdTPA for New York. I don't know if that's for all 50 states. I don't know if that's for certain states, but in New York, you will have to film yourself doing a lesson. You will have to write up that lesson, and it has to talk about all the statistics in the classroom and the school, and like how many kids have an IEP, how many kids are ENL, how many kids have learning disabilities, how many kids are Black, how many kids are white, how many kids are Latino. So all of these things are going to have to be written about and incorporated into your lesson as to how you met the needs of everyone in the classroom, which is hard. So that is something else that you need to add to your plate when you are becoming a teacher. Now, this might not have to do with becoming a teacher, but when you are a teacher, especially in New York, you have to teach for 4 years, particularly in your content area, or you get one class you could teach that's out of your content area. So for example, I'm an English teacher. I could teach 4 English classes and teach like gym, right? And that would still be okay. And I would have to teach for 4 years and do a portfolio in order to get tenure. Now, I know there's a lot of thoughts and comments about teachers getting tenure. We deserve it, right? Most of us. Of course, there's always some bad apples in the bunch, but tenure is not as easy to get as it used to be. It does require 4 full years of teaching. You apply for tenure in your 4th year. That would be your tenure year, where you submit your portfolio and kind of show why you deserve to be tenured. And it doesn't mean that teachers with tenure cannot be fired. That's not what that means, at least not in New York. Tenure just means that you are allocated due process, right? So if something happens, you don't automatically get fired. They investigate and they go and look into what happened. So that's all that tenure does. That's all it protects you from. It's not like a safety blanket. It's just not. So those are the steps that I took to become a teacher, and I've added and sprinkled in a couple of things that you need to do now in 2019 to become a teacher. And all of these are, like I said, again, New York focused. Some of the things are required in all 50 states. I haven't specifically looked into them and I haven't experienced them. But if you are dead set on becoming a teacher and it is your passion, I suggest that you start looking into what is required of you, not only for your college degree, but also for your licensing and certification, and to maintain that licensing and certification, because a lot of times they do require you to actually actively be teaching, or your license will be expired or you won't be able to renew. And that is it. And I hope this was helpful, and I hope all of my current teachers are having a great beginning of the school year. And I hope that everyone who's trying to become a teacher becomes a teacher and saves the world, because that is what Dangerous Minds would want. That's what they would want. That's what I want. Thank you for watching. Don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. I'm failing at this very well. Hit all the buttons, follow, and we love you, and thank you. Bye.